Christopher Spera, and this is the iTechGear Weekly, episode number 141, Copyrights and Patents and Trolls. Oh my. Recorded live Sunday, August 10th, 2025, live from iTechGear Central. As I said, I am Christopher Spera, the editor-in-chief here at the iTechGear.org, and joining us this week, we've got almost a full crew, but not exactly, unfortunately. Well, unfortunately for us and for everybody else. But not necessarily for him because he had a good week. He had a good week. I know.
Chris, he's just starting. You're already circling the drain. Come on now.
Hey, it is what it is. All right. Brother Joe McLaughlin.
That's our next show title, by the way.
Thank you. We just started and I'm already circling the drain. Thank you. Brother Joe McLaughlin is out on a mission trip and he's traveling back to see the wife and kids, and he will be with us next week. So
at least he's not a patent troll.
This is true.
There you go. Thank you.
This is true. And of course, you see, we've got the other usual suspects. We've got the editor over here at iTechGear.org and the former contributing editor over at Gear Diary and Pocket. Now that's Mr. Chris Gavula in Randall. How you doing there, Chris?
Oh, we're doing great over here. You know, Randall's trying to take over my position on the show. So yeah, he's very good at that.
Oh yeah. So, and we've also got here the former editor at iTechGear, or the current editor at iTechGear.org, and formerly the co-owner of WUGNET Publications, Mr. Larry McJunkin. How are you, sir?
I'm great. I am so looking forward to the show tonight. We have some great topics. I think 2 or 3 of them are interesting, and we also get to discuss. Something that was truly part of the fabric of my digital past: CompuServe, AOL, and the dial-up internet service.
And we will get to that in the mobile Linux segment. That's a preview of coming attractions. So, but you know what is interesting, I think, recently, Apple has announced, and I like this for the United States. Apple has decided to invest another $100 billion. All right, into U.S. manufacturing, and all U.S. made glass for Apple Watch, or all glass made for Apple Watch, will be made here in the U.S.
and iPhone.
That's good stuff.
So, and it's not 100 billion going into glass. It's just 100 billion investments in general. 2.5 billion going to glass.
Right. Which I think brings their total investment to what, Larry?
I have no idea.
600 Sagans.
How many?
600 Sagans. $600 billion.
Oh, man, 600 million. Well, I mean, I do know we've all been watching the news. Yeah. And we've seen that Tim Cook has very ceremoniously made us all aware of his intentions to do this by his presentation to our president of the little glass thingy, Bobby.
Yeah.
But anyway, as a result of this deal, Corning will now dedicate 100% of its new facility that it just built in Harrisburg, Kentucky, to manufacturing just for Apple. No more Corel dinner plates. No more anything.
It's not out of that plant. Out of that
plant will do nothing but Apple stuff,
products,
which is the internet, the iPhone, and the as Chris said, the glass for the Apple Watch.
But I think it's important to note that Apple's deal with Corning is not new.
My God!
This started back in the Jobs era. So they've been using Corning glass for years and years and years.
Day one.
Yeah, but they're just going to make, and then we're already making some of it here, by the way, guys. So they're just going to make more. They're just going to make more of it here. That's all. So, and that's a good thing. Don't get me wrong, but it's not. It's not a new. We're talking like this is a new innovative thing. It's not.
No, it's not. It's just a new bigger deal, and they're trying to make a big deal out of it. But
Corning, right now it's a big political deal, so I get it.
It is.
That's right. Corning says they're going to increase their workforce by 50%, which is a good thing for the people. And it's it's also money to spare to make an Apple Corning Innovation Center at this new plant, which will play a key role in all the new stuff coming down the road for Apple. So, okay, but when's this going to happen, you ask?
When is it going to happen, Larry?
Interestingly, Apple's press releases are quite just quiet about this. They don't
A
say
little.
anything. They don't.
Well, they
say
did.
sometime in 2026, maybe. That's what they said.
Yeah, I was gonna say the closest I've seen was soon.
Soon is the other word. But
Whatever that means.
I don't know. Is this a good thing? Is it a bad thing? I think it doesn't matter. It's just a thing because it's always been Apple Corning glass on your iPhone and your iWatch pretty much. It's just where it was built. Corning in the US or Corning overseas. It's the same, it's the same glass.
I think it's more about the optics on it than it is the actuality of it. But that's fine.
Yeah.
Right now that's a thing.
Yeah. Yes.
I mean,
I happen to like the fact that Apple is investing $600 billion into US based manufacturing to help bolster that portion of the GDP. At least I believe it's $600 billion over the next 10 years, I think is what they had said.
Well, I agree, but I don't like the fact that they effectively were bullied into it. That I don't care for.
And
but,
I also think it will be subsidized by
it's not a good way.
You and I paying more.
I think so too. I'm sorry. And we're going to see that anyway.
We're going to, yeah.
But so I think as time goes on, and we'll talk about this a little more about pricing and how things are going. But I think in general for Apple, it's a good time to do this because the pricing will all be able to be buried under that moniker. Yeah. And you won't be able to say, gee, this is because Apple's investing more. It's because of other reasons. And, we'll get into that a little more later. Right. But the point is,
if it doesn't work, Apple will have a good excuse.
It's right. It's all about how it looks right now. And this is a good time for them to sort of hide that in there. I get it.
Right.
It's a good time for that.
Yeah, it is. It is. It's not a good time for, at least. It's not. And thank you for the nice setup. I'll
set them up. You bring them home. Come on.
One of my most favorite patent trolls, right? Company called Fintiv, right? They are a patent troll that happens to go ahead and own a patent related to Apple Pay, and they filed a case over in Texas a little while, but they lost that particular case. So they picked that case up and they moved it to Georgia and they refiled it.
And so for those who don't know, Fintiv used to be called Corefire.
Yeah.
And so you may have heard the suits under that name. Yeah. So
and also for those who don't know, Fintiv is notorious for doing this. This is what they think they're put on the planet for, to be a troll for patents that belong to Apple.
Go
ahead.
Well, the concept of a patent troll, period. I truly believe there should be one organization type of company that is completely outlawed in the world. All right. I think it should be patent trolls. All right. I understand
I would
if you
agree.
want to go ahead and I understand that, hey, you buy and you own these things. All right. To make money. All right. And it is a legitimate business option. But if all that you're going to do if you're not going to do anything else, if you aren't going to write,
you're not going to make anything. You're not making anything.
No, but making anything. You're
not creating patents. You are buying them. All right.
Yeah, but you're missing the point. What this company does and has done since day one, they have created little technologies that they think Apple is going to eventually want down the road in hopes that they can do just what they're doing right now.
But they're not making them, are they? Aren't they just buying them? They're not actually making the technologies.
Well, no, they're patenting. They're patenting them ahead of the time. They don't ever do anything. They don't develop they try to develop the technology and they state that they are in the developmental process, but all they're doing is waiting for Apple to need the technology so they can say, wait a minute, we thought of it first. That's all they do. Period.
See, and I find that excessively irritating. All right.
So does Apple.
Well, I also find, but Chris, we were all talking about this in the pre-show.
Yeah.
Copyrights and patents and things like that are done at a federal level. Why are we able to sue in one state and then go sue in another state? I don't quite understand that. Why is this not handled at a federal level?
I think it has to do with global technology. That's the only thing I can think of.
Maybe.
I don't know.
But it should be, to me, this whole kind of process, if you're going to allow these suits to happen, it ought to be a one and done thing. I mean, it really shouldn't be, now I can go here, now I'm going to go here, now I'm going to go here until I find somebody that's more favorable.
Right.
and
No,
hit until I succeed kind of thing.
I,
Really?
yeah, I don't get that. And I find that completely annoying. All right.
At
Well, the
least.
last time
And
they tried it, they
so do
got
most folks,
smacked
but
down smartly, and the judge said,
Eh,
"I'm sorry, you simply didn't. You're not going to win this." But yet
yeah.
they're trying again, and it's the same second verse, same as the first.
See, and if I were the judge that this was assigned to in Georgia, I would cite and say, why are you bothering my courtroom with
well,
this? Why are you
I was going
bothering
to say, can't they also fine them for wasting the court's
This
time,
is yeah, I was just
kind
going
of
to
thing?
say
I don't
you've
think
already
so.
tried this court in another federal district, all right, in Texas. Bringing it now in Georgia is just another waste of
Yeah,
time,
yeah, yeah,
and I'm
yeah.
going to fine you for wasting this
But I'm
court's
sure
time.
Fentive's lawyers have found some loophole in the
Of
state of
course.
Georgia that might allow them to get by with
But
this
but
there.
but
That's
you know what,
all I
guys?
can.
Here's the thing that's interesting about all this to me is
Hmm.
that this is why the rest of the world thinks the American legal system is a nightmare and a
Yeah,
disaster
Which
and
it
it
totally
is.
screwed
is.
up. It's
Yeah.
this kind of inconsistent crap that we allow that confuses the crap out of
Well,
everyone else.
that and
Nobody
the fact
understands
that
it.
how many I mean you've got the trial court, then you've got an
Oh,
appeals court,
sure.
then you have like a state appeals court, then the state
Yeah. Oh, it just
the
goes and
state
goes and
Supreme
goes.
Court, and then you've got how many times do you go up that ladder and decide that you don't like the answer that you got? How many times
Well,
can you do that?
ask our federal government. They've been doing it for a while now.
Well,
It's
I
kind of what it
find
is. We don't like it, so we keep running it up
it
the
is
ranks until
just
we get somebody who says
annoying.
yes.
It's annoying as all hell. I mean,
Yeah,
I get
but
it. I get
again,
it. If
we
you're truly
confuse people. We get it.
if you're truly innocent, I understand that you want to go ahead and keep on filing,
Yeah,
these
I get
appeals
the idea.
until somebody hears you correctly. But at the same time, I mean, come on, I'm sorry. All right. There's a very good chance that if you uh, um, were found guilty, by one set of 12 people, that another set of 12 people with the reasonable same intelligence and presented with the same evidence
You would hope. You would hope.
would duplicate the same results.
So
And that's
anyway,
what the
so here we go again. Here
yeah.
we go again with this one. Okay, kids.
Yeah.
What'd you say, Larry? Second verse, same as the first. Here we
Yeah.
go.
Same
Yeah, here we
thing.
go.
But
And
they're
yeah.
going to keep doing it, and pretty soon one of them they'll get by with it eventually, I guess. I don't know.
But then Apple will appeal, and away
Well,
it'll go
yeah,
again.
Yeah.
yeah.
It'll
Yeah.
just keep
And away we
rolling.
go again.
This will go on for years. This is going to go on for years. All these do.
Well,
That's why we
yeah.
keep talking about the same stories over and over, guys. That's why
It's why
it
you
keeps us
keep
talking
on
about the
hearing,
same
yes, it's why
stories.
you keep on hearing the same crap over and over and over again.
Yeah, we
Not
do.
that the case
Okay.
hasn't been heard. It has
All right,
been.
guys, get out the shovels. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But you know what? We're going to need those shovels to scoop money now. We're going to have to start scooping more
Yeah,
money.
quit
And
trying to sue. The coffee is hot. We know that.
Yes. And speaking of scooping money, right?
Yeah.
Your
Well,
iPhone
I'm saying
17 is probably going to cost you more.
How much
Right?
more?
big
Well,
surprise there.
Well, see, then this part of the speculation is that because of all of the tariffs that have been put in place from the Trump administration, all right, it is possible that the iPhone 17 could cost you anywhere between $50 to $100 more than last year's iPhone 16 models.
I'd be quite happy if that's all it costs me.
If that's all it costs. Yeah, I'm with you, Larry. I think we're
Um,
already starting to see that in
I'm thinking
Samsung's new pricing
200.
being higher and all that. So I think we're going to see this going on for the next couple of years. These numbers are going to keep going up for a while. We'll see.
Perhaps.
Yeah, we don't know.
I do think that depending on how the whole tariff thing plays out over the course of the next 4 years and what happens or doesn't happen with the current as well as the next administration related to this, you may or may not pay more for your devices or for your widgets, right? Now, in the case of Apple, personally, and this is just a personal, I mean, they haven't crested $4 trillion yet, not like Microsoft and who was it? Who was the other $4 trillion company? There were two. Wasn't it NVIDIA? I thought it was NVIDIA.
I don't recall, but you may be right.
Anyway,
I thought it was only Microsoft, but I may be
no,
wrong.
no. There was one other that got there before Microsoft did. I thought it was NVIDIA. But for somebody who's $3 trillion plus in valuation, all right.
And they've been there a really long time.
They've been there for a while.
It's
You
not
would
like they
think,
just surged. Yeah.
an extra 50 to $100 per device is a per device, per consumer, per individual is a little bit on much. All right. Your standard family of four, that means you're going to pay anywhere between 200 and 400 additional dollars to staff everybody with a new phone if they all get new phones at the same time.
And just by the way, just to fill in the gap here, Chris, Microsoft, as you know, just crossed 4 trillion.
Right.
It is NVIDIA at 4.2 trillion now as of July 9th.
Okay.
And Apple, as of right now, Apple's at 3.1 trillion.
Okay. All right. So they've been there for a while, right? And 3.1 trillion is it isn't, it's a whole $1 trillion. It's 1,000 billion less, right? But even still, I would think that, come on, kids, $50 to $100 doesn't seem like a lot, but to your average consumer user, it can make a difference. All right,
and it will, and it may not be where it stops.
Huh?
Yeah, they do, and it may not be where it stops. That's just the first shot. We don't know where it's going.
I would think that come on, Apple,
But the Apple products tend to be aspirational anyway. So the question will be, will people step up and pay the extra? Well, they have so far. Remember back in the day. Remember back in the day, wasn't it Ballmer who said, "Who's going to pay $500 for a phone?"
Yeah,
Isn't that what he said?
We're paying anywhere between $1,000 to $2,000 for a phone.
Now,
do the math, guys. They have sold over 3 billion phones since they started selling phones.
They did.
Yeah.
They did.
$100 times 3 billion is how many? That's a lot of money.
That's a lot of money. It is. It's a lot of money. But even still, you would think, I would hope.
But we've talked about this before. It's all about keeping the shareholders happy, not about the consumers, not about the employees. No, it's all about the shareholders. I get it.
But the only reason why the shareholders are happy is because the consumers continue to chase after the products. But as you said just a few seconds ago, right? They're still paying it.
They are still paying it, and people they want the thing, they're going to keep paying for it. That's what it comes down to.
Right.
So there you go.
I'm guilty.
Right. It's not like
Me too.
This isn't all just related to tariffs, though. All right, because there is also a speculation that your storage capacities are going to bump up from 128 to 256 to start off for the ice.
Yeah, but we know that Apple has overcharged for storage for a long time. We know
they have.
But now they really need the storage because of AI.
They do.
Well,
so we'll see. Anyway, okay, we'll see.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's going to cost more. Okay,
so it's going to cost more. You may or may not feel it depending on.
And that means that $9.99 price, which is a certain specific number in people's heads, may no longer hold.
Right. It may not. It likely won't. You're likely going to start at 1049. It's likely going to start for you at 1049.
But it's a psychological barrier. It's an interesting place to be.
It is.
We'll see how it goes.
Throws an additional month onto your payment, right? And that's about it.
Well, that could. But again, like you said, for some people that'll be a big deal. For other people,
it could
not so much.
It could be.
Not so much. But we're going to throw more logs on the fire, aren't we? Here, Chris.
We are. Honestly, Mr. John Prosser. God bless his pointed little head.
My goodness.
He's the guy. For those that either missed the show last week or don't know what's going on with Mr. Prosser. He's been accused of leaking proprietary trade secrets by Apple, and it wasn't so much that he leaked them, as more along the lines of how he got them, right?
Or what they say, or how they say he got them,
right?
Because we don't know that. This hasn't been in court or anything.
Proven in court
Right. We don't know
a
that.
case. He's currently being sued by Apple for the leaked video and the way that they say he got the material. And his response to all of this, God love him, man. I'm telling you, the hair on this guy's cojones.
And I will say, even before
you
this,
got to be able to
let's
braid
make
it.
it clear. But before we say what he did
Yeah.
to respond, let's point out that over the last few weeks he's been saying, I didn't do anything wrong. He's been saying that.
Yeah.
So let's make it clear that he has been. It's not like he hasn't said anything. This is not the first thing he said.
Yeah. The first thing he said was, "I am not a crook."
Thank you, Tricky Dick.
But if I were, I would do it again.
I am not a crook. Right. That's the first thing he said.
And let's be honest, in that business, if you're going to be in the business of let's say spreading rumors or posting rumors, there's a risk here. No matter what you do, you're in this business. There's a risk.
Not everybody wants their laundry aired out in public for whatever reason, whether
and a $3.1 trillion company can afford to fight you if they're not happy with you.
Absolutely. And apparently, and this is what's happened to Mr. Prosser. Apple filed that suit against him, and his response was to leak more information.
Yeah. Great response.
Bless his pointed little head.
You know what I find interesting here? Over the years, there have been countless people do this, but they come and they go. It never stays in the news more than a day or two, and it's all gone.
Right.
This
who is that?
A whole different story.
Right.
I know where I'm going is I think Apple is going to prove a point. They don't like Mr. Prosser, and they're going to make a martyr out of this boy.
Oh, well, they're going to beat him into the ground. All right. Yep. And who was that company? Who was that website that saw that iPhone in a bar, picked it up, and didn't give it back?
Oh gosh, they certainly heard about it.
That.
Right?
That story stuck around a while.
That story stuck around a while. And I think it actually
killed.
My point was, I think it actually killed the site. Right? It actually, I think they stuck around for a while, but they did not have the juice that they had.
I don't remember who leaked that. Yeah,
previously, but this is back, I believe, when the iPhone, right before the iPhone was released.
Well, not the first iPhone. It was like the iPhone 4 or something.
Right, the iPhone
I think it was 4.
Right, was released, and I forget. If y'all remember who that was, shoot me a message.
So let's phrase, so just so folks know, this particular lawsuit
.org and let me know.
This particular one now is about iOS 26 and whatnot. Those kind of things being leaked.
Right.
So that's what Apple's complaining about.
And you're correct. That was in 2010. It was an iPhone 4. It was a bar in Redmond, California, by an Apple engineer by the name of Gray Powell.
Right, yeah, but it was found by
Gizmodo. Gizmodo was the blog.
Gizmodo, yes.
There they are.
Gizmodo,
They're still around.
They're still around, but they don't have the juice that they used to.
Maybe, yeah, but you're right. But that's what it was. Okay, so
thank you, Larry, for the quick research there.
Thank Google.
Yeah, well, thank you for hitting Google up for that. But the point that I guess that I'm making here, the same thing that happened to Gizmodo is the same thing that could happen to John Prosser. Is that it could really hurt, cripple, or destroy his career.
Well, you got to wonder at minimum, okay, it is whoever he uses as his sources, however he gets his information,
right?
It's going to cause him more trouble getting that information because people are going to be watching him.
Oh yeah,
watching his situation. So it's going to make it more challenging for him at minimum. So
absolutely.
We'll see. But what he's leaked here isn't really a leak. It's been kind of all over the internet already. So,
and it's not so much what, as you said earlier, it's not so much what he leaked. It's
really
how
wasn't.
He got that information.
Well, again, how they claim he got it. We don't have any proof one way or the other that he did or didn't.
I mean, it's still allegedly. I mean,
yep.
No, I'm not saying, but I'm just saying. All right. The point is he is alleged to have gotten this information from a not so reputable source in a way that violates
potentially
intellectual property rights.
Well, and there you go.
So there Did it happen or did it not happen that way? That's what the whole suit is about.
Well, that's why they go to court.
Yep.
Got to sort that out.
And I hope that Mr. Prosser has himself a good lawyer, because and honestly, if I were that lawyer, I would seriously be considering now whether or not I would want to be in that case, because the last thing that a good lawyer is going to want somebody to do who's accused of leaking
is
inappropriately
leaking again?
leaking information is to leak information again.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, you have to assume though, if he's going to be in this business, and this is the business he's chosen to be in, one would assume that he's got decent representation, because this is always a risk.
I'm just saying.
This kind of stuff. Who knows? I guess we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
This is the story that we're going to be hearing about for a while, though.
It is. So it's going to be fun to watch this one develop.
But we had some fun this week, didn't we, Chris?
We did. Let's go. I got a great idea. Let's go. Let's move to our mobile Linux segment, shall we?
Well, why don't we do that?
All right, because at this point, we can go ahead now and talk about the twofer. All right. And I'm just going to go ahead.
You got to talk about the twofer.
Well, you're going to get a twofer. Why not? Twofer's a one.
Why not talk about it?
Go ahead. Why don't you kick this one off?
So we both got kind of stepped into the Z Fold 7.
Boy, did we step into it, huh?
And we stepped into it. Whether we should have or not, we could argue about that probably all night long. But
yes.
We stepped into it. So what we're going to be doing over the next little while, you'll read it on the site. We're going to be basically kind of comparing our initial experiences with this. This new device that's been overhyped like crazy all over the place.
Yeah.
And reported on by everybody. And everybody is abandoning their iPhones for it. I'm not, but I still have it in my mix.
I'm not either. But let's tell.
It's in our mix. But the point is, this is what we're seeing. Well, we mentioned it a minute ago. This is the Z Fold 7, the Samsung Z Fold 7.
The Samsung
Z Fold. We mentioned that a moment ago,
right?
And so here we go.
So right, I will not abandon my iPhone for this.
Oh, me neither. All
right, I won't. All right. But and I've said this on the show at least once already, if there was an Android phone that would make me want to abandon my iPhone, so far this is it, even above the OnePlus Open.
And we both love the OnePlus Open. I should point out, folks.
We both love
them. Right. And I would actually initially have to agree with you. There's some limitations in this device that I'm going to call out when I read it. Some limitations that don't make me as happy. And I get it, but and then we'll do those comparisons, and we'll talk more about them once we've written this up and whatnot.
Right.
But it's going to be interesting, guys, because everybody's had a lot to say about this device. There's a lot of people saying a lot of things.
Right. And over and above that, there the other device that's set to come out and be new and is supposed to be a challenge to this, right? Is of course the Pixel Fold 10, right? Or the Pixel 10 Pro Fold.
Yep.
All right.
Hey, before you go down that Pixel rabbit hole, let me go back to that Z Fold, because I actually went down to Best Buy, not with the intentions of thinking or even thinking that it might replace my iPhone, but in the back of my mind, I still like a few things that Android does better than an iPhone. So I wanted to look at this device that you guys were so enamored with, especially Chris Spera at that time.
Yeah.
And I went down and I looked at it, and there's the one thing that absolutely made me fold it up and put it back on the shelf. It's got a fold. I don't give a damn what anybody says. You can see it, you can feel it, and it's just there. I'm sorry, but how do you get over that? I guess if you can get over it, it's a great device. I can.
Well, I would say when you turn it on, you don't see the fold anymore.
You don't see it, but you turn it slightly in the light, you'll still see it.
In the right lighting, that's true.
Yep.
Yeah,
I know it's there.
And I will agree.
I know it's there. I don't like it. Period.
I will agree, but like we're, I think everybody is sort of dancing around the actual words, and I'm going to say them. If you have a device that with a screen that folds in half, you're going to see some level of crease.
Something.
Right?
Yeah.
You're going to see something at the point where it folds in half.
I agree.
All right. Number one. And number two, you're going to feel something when you rub
I
your
agree.
fingers over that spot.
I think it's, again, a use case. If you have a use case, you will overlook that. I can't because I don't have a use case for the device.
You know, I
think that's true.
I will say this. All right. Before we jump down the Pixel 10 Pro Fold route.
And we will.
I think this is very close to, I would think this would be very close to the type of folding screen and hinge and technology that Apple would like to see in an iPhone or have in an iPhone Fold.
I hope theirs is way better. I really
All right. I'm
See, I
hoping
don't consider this bad, but yes,
maybe
I get
they
what you're
can't
saying.
make it better. Maybe it can't be
you know,
done.
because I mean, I don't know.
Maybe.
You're going
Samsung makes their screens for them.
they do, which is why I'm saying this is probably it, unless there's another incremental improvement.
Or something really close to this. The
Yeah.
only thing I can see Apple maybe changing might be the hinge and the way the hinge supports the middle a little bit differently. That's a possibility. But the screen itself is a Samsung
See,
screen.
I still think Apple's going to come out with one that'll have like minuscule metal bezels right up against each other, like the Duo, sort of, but even tighter and just.
Well, we'll see. We'll see what they do. We'll see what they do. Yeah, I don't know what they're going to do for sure.
Right. And for those that don't remember, the Surface Duo that Larry is talking about was a 2-screened device and not a single foldable screen. It was
and there's a slightly different use case for that. And I love that device. You know, you and I both love that device.
Yeah, it was
and the original Pixel Fold, which we're going to talk about the current Pixel Fold and the upcoming Pixel Fold, but the original Pixel Fold was closer akin to that Duo design than it is these current foldables.
Right.
And I kind of miss that too, but there you go.
Right. Have they leaked anything on the current Pixel Fold, what it's going to be like?
Well,
the 10?
It's expected to launch in a few weeks.
Usually they're pretty good at leaking.
The rumor mill has been saying it's not going to be that different than the 9, the Pro Fold 9.
Right.
We'll see, but that's what the current rumor. Chris, have you seen something different?
No, I have not. And even the article that we're citing here at Android Central by Derek Lee really is saying, it says exactly that. The Pixel 10 Pro Fold is not likely to be much different from its predecessor as far as design goes. I'm following my experience with them. This is perfectly fine. All right. He's just, I think this guy is saying, thin is not everything that it's cracked up to be, is his point in this article, really.
Yeah, I get it. But here's the interesting thing. Here's the larger interesting picture is that, we talk a lot, and it's not just us, but a lot of folks talk a lot about these Pixel devices, both their slab devices and their fold devices. But Pixel and Google make up less than 3% of the market. They're not a big market. They're not a big slice of it. They are talked about. They are talked about a lot more than the weight they really carry in the marketplace.
Right.
One of you guys during the pre-show made a really, really good comment. You said, maybe it was Chris Spera, but you said that at some point the manufacturers are going to have to give us more because it's just a phone, a slab of metal and glass. Pretty soon, you got to do something else, or we're not going to buy it anymore.
Well, see, and yeah, I don't know if it could have been.
That's a good point, though.
It's a very good point. And I don't, when it comes to this is not the late 90s, early 2000s. All right, before the iPhone was released, the design form factors were all over the place during that point. After the iPhone, everything went exactly as you see it now. It's all slab candy bar phones, all right, or folds at this point. And when you unfold, what do you got? A slab, all right, and you've got nothing
bigger slab,
a bigger slab, right? But the you don't have the same level of design innovation, right?
True.
As you did earlier, and a lot of it is I think going to have to be differentiated by the software. All right, that is on the device. If you're not going to have the innovation in the hardware, then it's got to be the software.
or it's got to take a different direction. So here's where I'm going with it when I say that. Well, but here's where I'm going with that. So you're seeing a lot of these companies starting to invest a lot in things like wearables. They might go a totally different direction is what I'm getting at. It may have nothing to do with a phone per se anymore.
All right. If
that may be where the innovation happens.
Right. But my point was,
I don't know.
If we stick with the same line, right, of in its phones, all right.
Yeah.
But I don't know that well.
The
innovation has to be in the software. If we go with something different where you've got, some kind of a wearable or some other kind of device, completely different device.
Right.
All right. Then I guess then you've got some innovation. Then you've got something new and different.
I guess what I'm saying is I don't know that the phone is the ultimate format that we're going to stay in, or the tablet's the ultimate format we're going to stay in. If you'd asked me 20 years ago, I would have said, we're never going to get off desktop computers. And here we are, and laptops are the big thing. Desktops are a minor thing now.
Right.
We wouldn't have expected that back. And the point is, sometimes these things sneak up slowly. Sometimes they don't really go much of anywhere. They just go a little bit. And a laptop is a laptop is a laptop. There's no innovation there anymore.
Well,
they're all pretty much the same. But the point in getting at, there's little differences. But a laptop works now the way a laptop worked 10 years ago. It doesn't really change too much. What I'm getting at is not a ton of new innovation. Yeah, better processors. Yeah, whatnot. So I guess at some point, the market stabilizes and one of two things happens. Either that's it. Cars are cars are cars. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The internal combustion engine isn't much different than it was 50 years ago, kids.
That's true. It may be more efficient. It may be more efficient.
But it's still the same thing. It's still basically the same mechanical. That could happen to this market, with phones. Maybe this is what a phone's going to be forever and ever. It's gone to its optimal shape and size, and that's what it's going to be. Maybe that's all it's going to be.
I know they are working on things like photonic crystal displays, which the lighting and different, ambient.
And you're going to see things. I think you're going to see things like as memory systems improve and we can put more stuff on board. That's going to improve AI and the ability to store mass amounts of data on the device. Those things are going to happen, but the basic thing itself probably won't change a whole lot. As we know it. It may become more interactive. It may become less interactive. I don't know. It may become more self-contained. I don't know. But the reality is, I think you're going to see other markets form instead. Is what we'll see.
And that will be interesting to see.
Yeah.
But what's interesting, at least with the current level of form factor and technology, something very interesting kind of happened when CNET took the Galaxy Z Fold 7 and folded and unfolded it a couple 100,000 times.
But this was CNET in Korea? Is that where they did it?
I think
yes.
I could have sworn it was in Korea.
A Korean YouTube channel. It was the Korean YouTube channel called TechIt.
CNET didn't do this. They're reporting on this. I gotcha.
Right. The Korean YouTube channel TechIt did. All right. Yeah. And this was something that was live streamed. All right. Yeah. Over the course of a few days, you could go ahead and bounce in and out and watch this thing.
Well, it's like any other YouTube influencer.
Right.
Got it.
And unfold. Right. So the whole idea and the thing here in what they were truly testing was Samsung has said that this particular phone, the hinge and the screen have the ability to be folded and unfolded 500,000 times, literally 500,000 times before there's some level of problem with the device. All right. So, TechIt said, name that tune and let's go ahead and do that. And they set this thing up and their testing process was just a little bit different.
It was more real life, though. It really was.
It was more realistic because it opened it with a little bit more force, or at least with varying force as it went through this process. Because that would be a little bit more realistic. Whereas Samsung probably just had it at the same force, open and close 500,000 times, and then something happened, right? So what they found, all right, and I'm gonna go through this just as quickly as I can, all right, was that the phone would reboot every 6,000 to 10,000 folds. All right. Which Samsung didn't report, right? At 46,000 folds, the phone started to creak. All right. At 75,000 folds, an unknown black liquid started to leak out of the hinge. And at that point, I would have lost my shit.
Well, that's because Linda Blair is possessed at this point.
This is true.
or something.
All right,
I'm not sure what it is.
If this
Now
thing's
we
head
want to
started to spin around,
exorcise that phone.
Yeah,
If
exactly.
this thing's his head started to spin around, then I would be upset, or at least afraid of, and go call my priest. But when this black liquid, I mean, and you don't know, and the article doesn't say whether it was something out of the crank or gear case of the hinge, or whether it was any kind of liquid coming out of the display or whatever, right? You don't know where this black liquid was, but it started to leak out of the hinge, right? At 175,000 folds, all of the speakers, including the earpiece, stopped working. All right. At the end of the experiment, the folding mechanism did become smoother, and the ability to hold its shape at any angle still worked. And then these findings were uploaded to a publicly available Google Doc, which is accessible in the CNET article that we are citing.
I think it's interesting, though, Chris, to let folks know that when Samsung was asked about this, they still have yet to comment.
Right. All right. And at least as of this writing, that which was August 8th, so 2 days ago, as of 2 days ago, they still have not.
It is the weekend. We'll give
responded.
them that.
Right. Hopefully they will. There's something that will be said. All right.
I'm curious what the results were on other model phones.
I don't know that
did not really say.
did anything else. Other phones.
Right.
I mean, it's hard to judge much unless we have comparisons. We can only judge against what Samsung's claim was versus what this says.
They claim.
What happened with other devices?
It can withstand up to 500,000 folds, though.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So if you're going to claim that, you have to back it up.
Well, the point is they might have that evidence. We don't know that.
Right.
We don't know, and we don't know what the testing method they used was.
Right. Now,
I mean, talking about Samsung.
Right. I will tell you, at least we are not necessarily going to do anything like that.
No, we are not.
All right.
No, we are not.
No, we are not. All right. Number one. Number two, we're gonna. I think I
don't open and close it enough today to run into those kinds of numbers.
No. And honestly, I wouldn't want to risk. Because it would at 6,000 folds, 6 or 10,000 folds, and the thing auto reboots, it would freak me out, right? What did I just crack, break, or screw up in the phone that caused?
Here's what I was also trying to figure out. I mean, they had the machine opening, closing it.
Yeah,
I didn't see. Were they stopping it periodically to test it? I mean, how did they get that at X number of folds? It stopped working. I mean, if you keep folding it, and you have this machine folding it.
So they're counting, and you've got somebody that's
no. I understand that. I understand it. So this thing is going, closing, and they're counting these folds, and they're going, and you have to have a machine doing it constantly. Otherwise, you're never going to get through 200,000 folds, right? So the point is, how do you know? Were you stopping every 1,000 folds and testing it to see what it would do at every 1,000 folds? Is that what they did? Because how do you know the speakers failed at so many folds if you didn't stop it?
The article does not go into that level of detail.
I guess I'd like to know more about how they tested and what that was. I'm guessing it's something like that. But
they do.
It was certainly not in a lab environment. We know that.
Well, I mean, if you're opening, closing, how do you test the audio and speakers while you're doing that? How do you test the speakers while that's going on?
Well, now that one, maybe they played something and had it continually playing.
Right.
And at the X number of folds, it quit playing. Now that part, that one,
But you see, but in general, there's several things that they said it failed at this point, that failed at this point. Okay.
Those you can't.
How do you know? I mean, short of stopping and checking it, how do you know?
Well,
I'm just curious. No, I know.
They don't, but they do give you a link to the actual video.
Yeah, and I recommend people watch
part of it. And I'm sure they did it. I'm not disputing that.
Oh, I agree. I totally agree they did it. What I don't know is what are the there's a lot of don't knows in this, and I don't know. I'd be curious.
True.
So, okay.
And the article in of itself does not go into a lot of detail, but they do have a link to.
It's still fascinating that it failed at 200,000 overall. That's still a fascinating figure to me.
Right. They also went ahead and just for the sake of whatever, they've also got another video in this particular article of the Motorola, the new Motorola Razr folding 200,000 times. So there you go. All right.
There you go.
So you can watch both of those. Should you have absolutely
interesting thing is we don't seem to be talking about that one though, do we?
No, not as much.
Fascinating.
Not as much, and that I believe is a marketing thing, but on
Probably.
Motorola's part. But
this did get me to looking at some other articles about this. The average person, maybe not you and I, but the average person opens and looks at their phone 205 times a day.
Really?
I'm not average, and I thought I was a geek.
I certainly don't look at it that many times a day.
I don't necessarily open this,
but you look at
every time. I look at it.
If you pick it up and just touch it,
I don't
do something with it 205 times a day.
And I'm an active person, in technology.
Yeah.
I get hundreds of emails a day. I don't open my phone or look at it 200 times a day. I might be looking at my computer instead. I mean, to be fair,
watch is 200.
I don't even do that.
That was just an interesting tidbit I found on the internet.
I would not.
I thought it was quite high.
No, I think that's a fascinating number. I had no idea.
I probably do it 100 easily, but
yeah.
I mean, but just since the show started, I've probably done it 20 times. So, there might be some truth in that.
So just to do the math, if you have 205 times a day, times 365 days, you're just shy of 75,000 folds a year. So what I'm saying is,
you have to keep that phone 6 years before it'll break. I mean, come on.
You have to keep it. Well, if it breaks 200,000 folds, that's going to be a little over 2 years.
Right, 2 years. I was thinking 5
for that.
I was
thinking
their limit, what they said it was.
Right.
But
the
other thing, but let's keep in mind, 205 times a day is what you say is the average. You look at the phone. You're not necessarily opening it. So if your fold device, you're not necessarily opening it. You might be looking at the outer screen. Let's assume that your numbers aren't quite that high, but you get the idea. It's at least 2 years you're going to have without problem, potentially.
And that's usually the life expectancy
of most people's phones.
For any one person on any one device is a year or two, right? So
a couple years at least. Yeah, I get it. So those are things to keep in mind.
This could easily fall into the who cares bucket. I mean,
I guess it could, but it's still fascinating. The numbers are still fascinating to me.
It is.
So there we go.
It is and they are.
It is and they are. But guess what else came? Guess what else came out, Chris?
I was just gonna say.
Were you?
I was.
What were you going to say?
For those that are of the AI persuasion, all right, I know this has been all over the internet over the last couple of days. GPT-5, OpenAI has released GPT-5, all right, and this is their latest edition of ChatGPT, if you will, all right. And if you look at the article that we're citing from Digital Trends, all right. GPT-5 is free for everybody. All right. It will automatically modulate on how much reasoning it does. It will now connect to Gmail and Google Calendar, so it can understand your schedule better. But this is for pro users at least at first. Right. It's designed to hallucinate less, which I think is a big plus, because the last thing I want is my computer to hallucinate.
I don't want my AI bot hallucinating.
Oh, no. All right. Yeah. Help me out with the marijuana petitions. Really? What? The what? What? I can't. I think I had 3. Yeah. 3.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I was getting my gummies out. I couldn't.
Right.
Couldn't have that conversation.
About? Oh, the petitions. Right.
Yeah. That's the ticket.
So it's designed to hallucinate less and offer greater reliability in its responses and be generally more dependable. It offers a more natural, less AI-like writing style. Subscribers can also alter the color schemes. It's got a voice mode that's going to be coming to all tiers that you can customize the responses to, even down to only answer with one word if need be. And there is a study mode for more. Study mode is more advanced. where you can get personalized step-by-step help to learn anything. All right. Um, so,
Okay.
which I think is kind of cool. Now, I've ever since I started this new job that I'm on, I've relied on ChatGPT quite a bit to help me gather and summarize information. All right. And I will tell you that in general with GPT-4, I've been very pleased with the responses. Now, ChatGPT, as of this launch, now defaults to version 5. All right.
I was going to say, I would
For new
suspect most people
chats.
who are using ChatGPT
Yeah.
don't really know what engine it's using behind the scenes. They just know that they're using
Although
ChatGPT.
they do make a little bit of a big deal of it. It's in the upper left corner of the actual chat window. It does tell you exactly which engine you're using, and it's got some little kind of colored doodad to let you know that, hey,
And
you can change this, and if you hit the drop down, you can change and look at different kinds of engines, and it will tell you what each one of those engines is really good for.
That's only if you're using the official ChatGPT client.
That is
So,
true.
for example, if you're using Microsoft Copilot, which uses ChatGPT on the back end,
Yep.
you don't know which version you're using.
No, that's
no idea.
true. But Copilot now is using version 5.
Right. Well, we know that. But what I'm saying is, you as a Copilot user don't know and probably don't care.
Right.
I mean, you might care, but you don't know.
This is true.
Unless you ask.
Right. So, it's really kind of interesting though. The kind of output that you get from this. I've had some really interesting kind of results from all of this, and from what I'm getting, I was pleased.
So
For the
I want to tell you. I want to tell you something interesting. So in Microsoft Copilot,
yeah,
I asked it the question, "What version of ChatGPT are you using?"
Yeah.
And Copilot's response was, "I'm not using ChatGPT. I'm Microsoft Copilot, your AI companion created by Microsoft. I'm built on cutting-edge large language models, but I don't reveal which specific model empowers me."
Right. But I'm it.
And it goes on from there, but it's really quite entertaining.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
You know, something I've discovered about, I'm like you, Chris. I have learned to rely quite a lot on ChatGPT.
Yeah.
If you learn how to use it properly, it is a wonderful tool. What I found though, if you're doing something graphically or about images, or draw me a picture of what my new building should look like that I'm going to have for my new company, Gemini is way better at that. But for anything text-based or computational-based, I think ChatGPT wins by far.
Yeah,
there are some really good comparisons online where they took all the big
engines.
I
asked the same question to both. Draw this beautiful image, and I got a beautiful image. I asked the same thing of ChatGPT.
Yeah, there's ones that have done this with 4 or 5 engines, but there's ones that have done this with 4 or 5 different engines, and they do different kinds of tests against them, and they tell you who wins and why, and they'll tell you sometimes what their responses were, which are sometimes fascinating, sometimes hysterically funny. But there still aren't any curbs on this crap, and there ought to be, and you still can't. How do you know the results it gives you are correct? You still don't have any way to validate. You have to trust it. You don't have any way to know.
I saw something that very, very interesting related to this a while ago. You know that the current administration had identified and put a AI czar in place, and he's already resigned. So
well, and we already know we already know
been
that
around there for a while already.
We already know that our Health and Human Services guy has used AI to write reports and generate traffic that he shouldn't have, probably. But okay, but people are there's no maybe. There's a fact. It's a fact.
Maybe
the point is
should or shouldn't have.
Should they or should not do that? That's the question. And is it to that point where we should be able to rely on it that way? Well, in this case, it gave him incorrect information, and he posted that incorrect information. That was a problem.
So on the other hand, there are things that you can ask an AI bot to do
Yes, there
that
are.
don't
Yes, there
require
are.
bumpers. I mean, I'm
Yeah.
pretty good at HTML. I really am. I've done it for ever since it's been there.
Yep.
If you ask ChatGPT to build a website with 10 pages that does this, this, and this, it'll do it. And behind the scenes, you open it up, look at the HTML code, it's gorgeous.
Yeah,
How can
no
you argue with
question.
that? You can't
And,
argue.
and I think the thing you can do today that you can do today is get yourself more than one of these engines to work with. You know,
Right.
really get yourself built up a few of them. And when you're working on a project,
right?
yeah, well, not just comparison
Everything.
shopping, but when if you use your primary tool, whatever that one you prefer, be it Gemini, be it Chat GPT, be it,
Whatever.
Microsoft Copilot, whatever you prefer to use, when you generate your query, go ahead and run the same query through a few of the other ones and see if the answers jive. That's about the best we can do right now to sort of.
It's the best way to vet the right place for you to give your information. And your point is very well taken. It may be very good for A, but not very good for B. So if you've got to do A and B at times, you may want to use, this engine anyway for A and that engine for B.
But you still want multiple answers just to see if you're getting any conflict or if you're getting anything that doesn't line up.
To your earlier point, Chris, if you ask it to postulate anything, you don't know. I mean, if you say
you don't know
the answer, how do you know that it's right? I mean,
right. Well, that's the problem. I used to explain. I used to use a phrase, and it's a difficult phrase. How do you explain the color blue to a blind man? So if you don't know the answer yourself, how are you going to know that the answer that you're given is correct? How do you know? You either have to take blind faith that it is, or you have to have some way of vetting it. And right now, the only way we have to vet it is to shove it into other sources,
engines.
Gee, if you're asking a physics question, go find a physicist and ask him the same question. That's all you can do, right now. So it's the same thing as we do with our news. We can't, we have to compare multiple sources in order to know that what we're getting is valid or not.
Right. I will tell you that I did use, and I say this very, very loosely. All right.
Okay.
The next term very, very loosely.
Huh.
The organization that I work for doesn't allow any kind of software installs, but yet I wanted a tool that would allow me to take the contents of one directory, bounce it against another directory, and copy the newer or changed file, the new, never existing before, or changed files. And then if there are, if those files were deleted in the destination, to get rid of the ones that were no longer there, the orphans, right?
Okay.
And so I went and because I'm not allowed to install anything, I went to ChatGPT and I said, "Hey, write me a
like a bat file or something to do it, or
write me
or
a
PowerShell script or something.
PowerShell script, yes. All right, write me a PowerShell script that will do exactly that." And it came up with a script that would allow me to preview before I what it was going to do.
Sure.
And then if I was confident that those were the appropriate changes, to allow it to then go ahead and execute those changes.
Well,
and
I still maintain
very easy for me to do.
One of the things that those of us on this show still do and have done all our life is write. And if you are a writer of any ilk, if you don't use a large language model to help you, check you, or find new topics or something, you're crazy. You might as well, you're behind the power curve today.
You may be behind the times, and I will tell you that.
But keep your own style. That's the thing.
Yeah,
it gets harder to do though.
You keep your own style, and
it's great for outlines. I use it for outlines.
Oh, it's wonderful for outlines.
Give me a 50-point outline about this article, and then I'll write the article.
Yeah. Outline the appropriate topics that you would cover for subject. And then,
but even then, it makes mistakes. It does.
Yeah. So now we have the GPT-5 engine, which supposedly improves on all these things. But there's more going on. But there's more going on in the AI world.
I was just going to say, you know what is really some really nice. Really nice.
Okay.
All right. Results from there. Apparently, OpenAI is in talks for a share sale. All right. At a valuation of 500 Sagans or 500 billion.
Yeah. You know what this does? This validates the fact that AI is real. It's here to stay.
Yeah.
companies are paying and spending
half
and
a
messing
trillion
around with
dollars.
billions and billions. You don't do that on a whim. You
No,
just don't.
you don't.
But back to the topic here, the talks are in early stages. They would involve, a sale of the shares currently held by stockholders and our current and former employees.
Right.
And they asked, I think, in this article to not be named. And Bloomberg, by the way, was the first to report on this. But thank you, Mr. Bloomberg. I went somewhere else because of your paywall.
Damn paywall.
Damn your paywall. I'll find it
What's really
somewhere
very,
else.
very interesting is I've noticed, as a brief aside regarding Bloomberg, I'm able to go ahead and actually get to the article once.
Oh yeah.
Just once. All right.
Yeah, but you better keep
You
your
go back
browser
to
there.
it, forget it. Forget it.
I'm wondering though,
They
can you
hit your
not,
paywall.
isn't there a big problem now that you can actually like use something like ChatGPT to say, hey, please summarize this article for me, and it'll get you that information regardless of
I'm
the
sure
paywall.
it could. I bet it can. I never tried it, but I think I will.
Yeah.
I'm just curious because I remember there being a problem with the threats of suits and payments and all that kind of thing going on. So I'm curious if it's still a problem.
No. Interestingly enough, Larry, you were going to go ahead and talk a little bit about this. So what's going on?
Now last week, OpenAI did announce their most recent that they have put the recent foray, we'll call it, into something special that's tied to that funding round. They released two different open weight language models for the first time since it rolled out GPT-2 back in 2019. The new models, and I'm reading here just so I don't mess it up. They aim to serve as lower cost options that developers and researchers can easily turn to and run and customize without having to spend megabucks to use them. And that's the problem. The front end of AI is inexpensive or free, but if you've ever been exposed to what the high end and the paid version is, it's phenomenal. I'm very fortunate. I have access to one of them. That's the highest paid version on Gemini. But man, it's a whole different. You get a whole different perspective on AI.
A different experience when you pay for
it. It really, really is. The company said earlier this week that ChatGPT was about to hit 700 million users per week.
It's a lot of folks.
Why this can. You're talking billions of dollars right there.
Yeah. Yeah. And honestly, it's amazing. Half a trillion dollar valuation for a company this young.
I can't even fathom this. And 20 years ago, we would have never even, we would have been talking millions.
Well, not even close. Not even close. It's just absolutely amazing. I'm certain that if I were to go ahead and if I could get a hold of, I would love to see this. If I could get
somebody ask Google, please. How tall is a stack of pennies that's worth $500 billion? It's got to go around the world 25 times.
Oh, at least.
I mean,
at least.
I mean, you got to put
how many times to the moon and back, right? How many times to the moon and back?
Wow.
So I would love to see it though. I would love to go ahead and have it perhaps write a new Windows compatible operating system and see what it could do. I would love to be able to see if it could actually come up with something. If I had all of the requirements for pick an OS, pick a program, how well would it do it, and how close would it be to actually what was created?
I don't think it could do that, Chris, because it can only do what's been done. That's what's in the large language models.
Well, again, I mean, if I gave it, but you can also add documents. You can add documents too.
You could ask it
if you could go ahead and take all of the documented requirements for, right, said thing and stick it in there, right? Stick it in there and then allow it and then see what it would come up with. I'd love to see what that result was.
But it can't innovate. It can only generate based on what's already been done.
It has a lot of trouble even editing. It can't edit very well either.
It can't innovate. However, it can combine different kinds of
stuff that's been done.
Into combinations that you may or may not be expecting. All right. You're correct. It cannot ideate or innovate on its own. All right. But I would still love to see what it could do. All right. And would it have the same level of difficulty or problems in terms of drivers?
Well, that's a question.
Yeah. So
I don't know.
I don't know if it would make the same model and the same mistakes. It might do that. I don't know.
It might. I don't know, but it would be interesting to see. So, you know what else is interesting that I saw?
What else is interesting?
This is interesting, yeah.
You know, is T-Mobile seems to be on an acquisition spree. All right, because Chris, didn't it recently acquire a new company? What was it?
Yeah, they did. They acquired U.S. Cellular, which has been around for a while. If you're in the Midwest, you know of them and things like that. But they've been around for a while. They're kind of a regional kind of carrier.
Yep.
And so they acquired another one of those. And the claim right now is that they're not going to change anything. They're just they own it. They're going to keep it. If rumors are to be true that if it holds it, then they'll hold it like they do Mint or Boost or some of the others.
They did that with Sprint. They said they weren't going to do anything for a long time, and they didn't. They kept that until they finally had to.
About a year, actually. They didn't even go that long. They went about a year.
I mean,
and then
that's
they basically
a long time.
the Sprint name and the users disappeared within a year. So.
Well, so they all integrated. They all integrated them,
so that may take them longer. But
well, we don't know if they'll integrate it or treat it as an MVNO. We don't know. We really don't know what they're going to do.
Right. See, now with Mint, they're treating it them as an MVNO. I would think that they would do the same thing with U.S. Cellular because that's exactly what U.S. Cellular is.
Yeah, I would think that they might, but the reason they did it with Mint is because Mint had kind of a marketing trick, and that was their monthly rate, flat rate without any complications. Right. It was a very simplified model. That's the model they sold, and that worked well. So it was kind of prepackaged that way. U.S. Cellular doesn't have quite the same thing going on. They're more a little closer to a traditional kind of network. So it might be better to blend them. It might not. It's hard to say.
They're very large though, and they had a huge customer base.
Yeah.
Well, and it's going to take a while. If they're going to integrate them, it's going to take a while. It's not going to happen in 5 minutes. It's going to be like Sprint.
Correct me if I'm wrong. I think that U.S. Cellular was the last independent cellular company. Now there are 3. Everybody else is an MVNO. Correct.
You may be right on that. I don't know if that's actually true, but
I think it's correct.
But I think
they started out as an independent. All right.
I'm just saying now is this T-Mobile.
Yeah.
Verizon. That's it. Everybody else is an MVNO.
Right. I think U.S. Cellular did start out as an independent. They were their own independent carrier. But this is because they've been around for.
I'm thinking they were till T-Mobile bought them. They were bought as an independent.
I'd have to go and look into that. If somebody out there knows, if one of our listeners knows, go ahead and hit us up at tips@iTechGear.org and let us know.
What I'm reading online is that there's still a few kind of regionalized ones out there.
Okay.
But not nationally.
Not big.
Not nationally. Yeah. There's some really small ones hanging around. In just one state or 2 states kind of thing.
Got it.
But they're independent facilities-based carriers, and they're regional. They tend to be regional carriers.
Nice.
Most of the rest, like you said, are MVNOs now, and there aren't even that many MVNOs left anymore. So it's definitely coming down to the last few here. We're getting to that point where everybody's down to the big players, the big boys now.
Yeah. Which is
yeah.
Honestly, isn't the capitalist system really designed to go that way? Isn't it?
Well, challenge,
it's all designed to get to a monopoly, all right?
It is. It's the model.
Works. That is the model, right? You buy and sell until there's no one else. There can be only one.
There's no one else left.
So there's no one else left, and then you're the one that holds it. Well, we don't allow that in. Thank you, AT&T.
That's where we stop at 2. When there's 2 left, we quit.
Yeah,
we go for the duopoly good, monopoly bad.
Yes. All right. So let it go.
Yeah.
Let it go.
Here
Let
we
it go,
go.
Elsa. Let it go.
I'm glad we're not on TV.
No.
My goodness.
Interestingly enough, speaking of, there can be only one, right?
Oh my gosh. Well,
Oh yeah.
This I think is the real thing that I think surprised all of us.
And I'm the
yeah.
oldest, so
Yeah, which is
I remember more of it.
but true. I remember them. This company as the one that sent you brand new coasters every week,
Every
um,
week,
in the
a new
mail.
CD. Every
America
week.
Online has finally, after 40
Wait,
years.
wait. You mean they weren't in the CD business?
No, they weren't in the CD business. No.
Oh my goodness. I thought there for a while they were.
Well, I thought they were in the coffee coaster business because I
Yeah,
got
Yeah.
there you go.
coffee, you know. But
My goodness.
America Online has finally killed their dial-up service, Larry. What is going on? They were still
Holy
around.
cow.
Well, this one truly is near and dear to me for a couple of reasons. A, I can't tell you how much money I spent going online using a 14400 baud dial-up
Oh,
modem.
don't even get me started. Where did he go?
Hours an hour,
There
an
he is.
hour. Now, 3 hours buys me a whole month of gigabit.
Yeah.
So kids, can you who were born with a mobile phone in your hand even process this? I mean, can you imagine someone placing the handset of an old landline telephone, that kind that had a circular dialer that you put your finger in, put
Hmm.
that thing into two physical rubber cups, and from there going on the internet? I didn't think so, no.
Not
Because
anymore,
now,
anyway.
I mean,
Not
no,
anymore.
now we have unlimited internet at gigabit speeds for $70 a month, and everything is ubiquitous. But 40 years ago, as Chris said,
It was a
was a
thing.
very early Apple service for those. It's another tidbit. AOL started out being owned by Apple. It was a spinoff of an Apple service. It really was. It finally ended up being its own dial-up internet service. Older Mac users will remember this. If you go back even further than me, I don't remember that, and I go back a long way. And I think, Chris, when did you get into Macs first? Chris DeVoe.
2006.
Oh
What we knew
yeah,
was
okay. You guys are
2006.
you guys are youngsters, but
No,
Well, no, 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 no,
no,
no. I
no,
take that back.
no, no.
Personally owned a Mac was 2006. Both Chris and I go back to the original Mac
The
128.
original Mac
okay,
128s.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
Hmm.
in fact, we taught folks how
We
to use a word processor.
we supported labs that drove them so
But
students could use them for word
even you
processing.
guys remember the days when of the internet when
Oh yeah,
the dominance of AOL. I mean,
Yeah.
it was
and
everywhere. It
it
was
was
everywhere.
everywhere. And but
AOL,
now to
MSN,
hear a whole
MSN started off as a dial-up service in direct
As
competition
well.
with AOL.
Right, right, and then spun off to what it is today.
Yeah.
But here's
yep.
one thing I found fascinating from that article you guys linked. Uh, as of 2021, AOL said that they had 1.5 million people still paying for
Still
service,
paying
not
for
not necessarily internet. They might have been software and support, but the point is they
yeah.
still had 1.5 million people paying the money in
Yeah.
2021.
They're just paying for that AOL client that just couldn't get off of it. I run into them every week
Yep,
here.
yep,
Well,
yep,
I
yep, yep.
finally moved most of them off, but it's tough. They don't want to leave it.
Well, it was a very comforting client. People don't forget, there's that whole movie, You Got Mail. It was all based around the comfort factor of
That's
hearing that
true.
when you
Yep.
started up your AOL. It was a huge thing. People
You've got
oh,
people don't
mail.
realize
knowing
I
whether or not
can,
you had
it was
email?
it
yep,
was very but it was very welcoming and friendly and
yep,
comfortable, and people liked that. They liked
yep.
that feeling. We
Oh,
don't get
there
that
you
from the
go,
internet
shop
today.
girl. It's all about you.
Well, we
Yeah.
certainly don't get it from the internet today. That's for sure.
Yeah.
You know,
Well, still, AOL was the force that absolutely introduced millions of people to the internet.
it
And
absolutely did.
back in the 80s and forward, you just can't take that away from them. They really did.
So So now the dial-up service is gone finally, and
Yeah.
a moment of silence, folks. A moment of silence.
Absolutely. This is one of the progenitors, right?
It
Yeah,
really
The
is.
very
actually,
founder
Yahoo,
of
Yahoo
actually,
was.
AOL takes a lot of credit for this, but in all honesty, in back in the mid 90s or the late 90s.
Late
It was
90s.
more CompuServe, Chris, than it was AOL. I
Yep.
mean, AOL finally bought CompuServe, and I was there. I was in Columbus, Ohio, when the company, put out the word to the troops at Arlington Center that they had been
Oh,
purchased by AOL. And when that happened, of course, as you know what hit the fan,
Oh,
and
geez. Everybody probably lost
it
their
was actually
minds.
good for WUGNET because I got to
well,
stay. I stayed up there for 6 months sorting out the debris and the carnage and helping them. It was just
I always got the sense that
unbelievable.
the CompuServe
Yeah.
did better, especially as it was later in its life. It did better with kind of tech geek persons, but AOL did better with general consumer base. They they
That's
they got the
true.
consumer
Very
That's
they got
true.
the
true.
consumer
CompuServe,
they understood the consumer
CompuServe
market
had the
better.
networks. You're right, Chris.
Yeah, that
And
was my feeling
AOL
back in the
bought
day.
both, and then they just made themselves better. It was a good acquisition. It
It
had the
really was. It was a smart one for them. I'll give them that. I'll give them
But
that.
boy, it was so hard
Wow.
on those
I'm still
people up
sad. I'm
there.
still sad to think it's gone because it was a big part of my life back then too.
Yeah.
So I
Mm,
remember it. I
I'm glad I
remember it.
was
mm.
able to help be part of that company that could fill their gaps at that time. It was beneficial for us. But we saw so many
Mm,
people we knew just pack up their desk and leave, and
it was
that's all
definitely
we're
a
supposed to
thing.
do.
Well, we had a column I wrote a column in the Computing Pro forum for 7 years.
Well, before we got started, even with well, not it was concurrently. We were working with Microsoft since 3.1,
Mm-hmm.
but we had 100. We owned 130 forums on CompuServe, wasn't it? Did.
Mm-hmm.
We were the absolute,
Mm.
by far and large, biggest business partner they had, bar none.
Yeah.
It
So
was
Chris,
fun. Good old
so
days.
Chris, I don't want to be sad anymore. What you
Okay.
got for us next?
Enough
What do I have
melancholy.
for us next? Well, honestly, we've got the Windows segment yet, but I'm going to get to that
You
right,
are.
right after this brief
When?
message. Right after this brief message. Hi. This is Christopher Spera from iTechGear.org. I wanted to talk with you today about becoming a contributing donor to the site. iTechGear.org has been around for almost 15 years. In fact, our anniversary is just around the corner on January 10th, 2025. 15 years. Where has the time gone? I've never really asked for any kind of donations for the site. It's always been about me providing value to you, a site visitor or podcast listener. The iTech Gear Weekly is now in its 4th year of production, and Chris G, Joel, and Dr. Mr. Larry McJunkin and I are having a really great time providing you with some of the best free tech talk available from time-tested original internet writers, testers, site founders, and professional writers and editors on the internet. I truly believe that our crew has some of the best and most qualified pundits and commentators on the internet today. And we're not hobbled by any kind of sponsorship or affiliated relationship or other time bought posts. It all comes from the heart. Unfortunately, times are kind of tough. And since the COVID-19 pandemic of 2020 to 2023, yes, almost 3 full years, times have become increasingly difficult for small independent sites like iTechGear.org to stay afloat. I normally do this with a portion of the salary I make from the day job, but with the IT market so tight right now, it's really difficult sometimes for many to make normal household ends meet, let alone fund a site like iTechGear that might decide to bring in a buck or two. It ain't easy. If you find any of our content on iTechGear or from ITGW to be of any value at all, I would seriously appreciate you donating as little as just $1 to the cause. While we do have a Patreon site, it's hard to keep one website up, let alone two, And since it's really only me doing the work, our Patreon site hasn't really helped us at all. If you can make a donation to the site or to the show of any amount, I'd be forever grateful. All donations will go to site maintenance, hosting, podcast hosting, and everything iTechGear related. Donations can be made to my PayPal account at chris@itechgear.org. Make a donation. We'll thank you immediately on the next ITGW episode and voice our gratitude. I want to thank you. We appreciate your consideration, time, and attention. Now let's get back to the latest iTechGear Weekly episode. And welcome back to the iTechGear Weekly episode number 141. Copyrights and patents and trolls. Oh my.
Oh my.
Oh my.
Oh.
And you know, I for those that were curious, and me being one of them, that column that I had for WUGNET in the Computing Pro forum at CompuServe was called The Weekly Bite. And it ran, I want to say, between 2001 and 2008.
So yes,
About
folks,
right.
Chris
About
actually
right.
does do something useful on the break between segments.
Not much, but you know.
He was able to look up and find the name of his own column.
Because honest to goodness, you know.
Again, it's senility we're talking about
It's
here. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
I know.
I don't know what to tell you.
We're all
I
guilty.
know. So I want to move us to our Windows segment, and
Okay.
this one really kind of the fact that Microsoft even is decided to offer this service. I mean, it just really just annoys me because they got rid of Windows XP and they came out with Windows 7. All right.
Which wasn't very much different, honestly.
Well, no, but it was familiar enough.
Phase,
it was familiar enough that
Mhm.
you know, and
Very similar though.
right. And Windows 8 and 8.1 were just a dumpster fire. And so to get
I still like them, but okay. Yeah.
to get people off of Windows 7 and onto a newer version of Windows, they came out with Windows 10, right?
The dumpster fire was Vista.
Well,
yes, me.
Well,
Windows
Vista and me weren't all that great. But to tell you the truth, nobody moved to Vista because the UI, the Aerial UI was just too taxing on the CPU.
No, I agree.
All right, and everybody turned it off. All right, for those
yes, they did.
For those that did move. All right, and to be honest, everybody stayed at 7, and to avoid the same problem that they had with XP, you know, they kind of did up Windows 10 in such a way that it worked for them. Now, Windows 10, interestingly enough, had a 10-year life cycle. It is up in the middle of October of this year, and that's it. It's supposed to be it. No more security updates, no more virus definitions, no more features or fixes or none of that, unless, of course, you subscribe to the ESU support program, the extended service updates support program, which, by the way, will cost you $30.
But you need to let people know that this is the first time that Microsoft is making a big deal out of this as an offering to normal people. This is something they've offered to enterprise for years.
For years. Right. They did.
But let's make it clear. It isn't continuing patches and bugs and everything else. It's security patches only.
It's
pretty much
patches
it's
only.
To keep
they are
you
not
virus.
Solve, right. Yeah. They won't fix any additional bugs.
So let's make it clear what it is.
I mean, we can talk about it all day long, but boys and girls, there's no reason not to go to Windows 11. There's just not a good reason.
That is true. And what really, really bothers me is for $30 a year, all right, Microsoft will go ahead and provide that consumer end user with security updates they will patch the vulnerabilities, and that's it.
No feature updates.
No feature updates.
Gotcha.
No bug fixes. All right. Just security updates to keep you from getting hacked. All right. This will require a Microsoft. It's going to cost you $30, but in order to pay that $30, you have to have a Microsoft account. Period.
Oh, yeah.
There's no way around this. You're going to have a Microsoft account to pay this.
And then you're going to have to install Microsoft Authenticator to get into that account.
Absolutely, you will.
But let me add to that. Aren't you pretty much now required to have a Microsoft account to go to Windows 11 anyway?
To Windows 11, but in Windows 10 you did not have.
But we're telling people there's no reason not to go to Windows 11. So if that's the case, you're going to have this account anyway. Is what I'm getting at.
You're going to have a
in
Microsoft
the enterprise
account
world.
to
You still don't
update.
have to have an
True.
account.
Right.
Very true.
In
But
Windows
you have
10,
to work hard to get around it today. If you go buy a Windows 11 computer, new one at Best Buy, try and set that up as a standard user.
Yeah, they've been blocking all the channels for doing that more and more as time's gone on. Yeah, I'm with you.
That is true. Which is one of the reasons why over the week I tried to gig Larry just a little bit. Really saying that, hey, you have to have. Here's another reason for you to have a Microsoft account. And Larry's like, yeah, I don't care.
but this is kind of what I'm saying. I guess what I'm saying is, no matter which path you choose to take, if you try to patch Windows 10 for another year, or you try to go down 11, you're still being forced into that Microsoft getting your information kind of category that they're forcing you into.
And also when you look at the hardware, though, if you've got an old Windows 10 machine, everybody that we have asked in my circles here in the club and all, I've said, why don't you want to go to Windows 11? I don't want to buy a new computer. Okay, I went to Best Buy for some other reasons over the weekend.
Yeah.
And I'm here to tell you, there in Costco, you can buy a pretty good Windows computer for, count them, $200. It'll work if all you do is internet and email. Maybe $300. It's 16 gigabytes of RAM.
Yeah.
Money's not the right answer there. They're lazy. They don't want to get rid of what they got.
Exactly.
They don't want to change.
Exactly. See,
how do I get all my stuff off of this computer onto the new one? That's the second biggest.
Yeah.
They have.
I'm not going to say that's trivial. That's important for some
most
folks.
people. That's a hard nut to crack. I know.
Yeah, I get it. I get it. Don't even get me started on trying to move your authentication from one machine to another. That's a whole other challenge.
They don't do it as easily as the newest version of the Apple migration tool, which is phenomenal.
That's a phenomenal tool.
But boy,
that is a phenomenal experience.
Man, another reason to want to go to an Apple sometimes. Let's just say,
and
that's your alternative, kids.
Yeah.
Go to Apple or Linux.
Yes, but if you are on Windows 10, it is time to get off. All right, it is time to get off. Bite the bullet. Put on your big person pants, right? And move and either get a different computer or move to Windows 11 on the one that you got,
or move to a Mac or Linux, but get off of Windows 10.
Yes, but get off of Windows 10. All right.
Sorry, it's bad news, but that's
the ESU thing really just annoys the shit out of me, because every time I hear Microsoft do this,
I'm with you.
It just makes me cringe, because it's like they're going to run down that Windows XP problem.
Well, but as Larry said, it used to be an enterprise only kind of solution, and enterprises paid big bucks for this, by the way. It's not like they got it for free. It was not free.
The fact that they are,
and it's only because they just didn't have time to migrate 500,000 PCs to a new one. They just didn't have the time.
That was the whole thing.
It seems as though they've learned nothing. They learned nothing from the whole Windows XP experience. All right. They learned nothing from that. Why are they offering this to folks to keep them on Windows 10? All right. They're never going to go ahead and get off the CSU thing. They're going to be
because they're afraid. They want to give them a path to stay with Windows. They don't want them.
But understand, the CSU path is not a permanent path. It's a 1-year path. That's it.
Right, but that gives them one more year that they might not.
That's
buy
it.
an Apple
it's not a permanent. And Microsoft has not historically extended the CSU.
Says reasonability. All right, says common
sense. But
Microsoft
haven't extended it
until the cows come home.
But they never have. They up till now they have not done that. They have a limited window on it. To be fair, they haven't.
The manager for Windows XP never thought that operating system would be around for 15 years.
Well, there's that too, but by the same token, they're getting $30, for what? For nothing. They're getting $30 out of you as a continuous revenue stream for nothing.
They have
their
worst or their junior
will pay
worst.
$30.
Well, they have their junior worst or their worst
is all they're doing.
Software engineers out there, writing in or porting over these security patches. All right. Great.
Interestingly enough, my company has pushed us toward Windows 11 anyway, which I thought was interesting because at first their attitude was we're not going to do it, and then it was like, okay, next thing you know, you're getting it pushed, and I got to tell you, it's been problematic. The Windows 11 has definitely been problematic in the enterprise. It's not been smooth.
It's not been smooth, largely because many of those machines probably don't have the right hardware.
That is probably true.
Chip.
Well, they work. They work, but they screw up a lot on updates and things like that. But the point is, Windows 11 hasn't been all that, and I think the problem is a lot of folks have seen that either due to where they work, they've seen it, or they've seen it where their kids work or whatever, and they've heard the problems. Everybody's reported problems with Windows 11, so I understand there's sort of this built-in prejudice against it. I get that. I get it. But the point is, you still got to go somewhere, kids. You can't, I don't care where you go, but you can't stay here.
You can't. Yeah. You don't have to go home,
but you can't stay here. And that's how Windows 10 is right now. You got to do something. You got to
do something.
Sorry, you got to shit or get off the pot here. You got to do something.
Right. So, this is just, I think, a bad business decision. Really.
I agree. I totally agree.
Bad business decision.
And let's be honest. On top of all this, Microsoft has not made these migration processes easy for anyone.
No.
They really have not gone out of the way to improve it for anyone. So I get it. I get the angst. I get the concern and the problems. But here we are. And so you can get there, but you have to pay money and you have to have a Microsoft account.
Right. And it's not like you can't get there from here. You can, but the road is bumpy. All right.
At best. And it's only for another year.
Right.
Then you won't get anywhere.
Says
you'll
you.
be done.
I don't believe this is going to be over in a year.
Talking about things that are going nowhere, Chris.
What's going nowhere? I'll tell you what's going nowhere. It's the new Intel plant in Ohio. It's likely going to get canceled. And
we've been saying for a while that's probably going to happen.
Yeah, unfortunately, Intel announced recently that it will need to get external customers for its manufacturing division, or it may have to cancel all the work and stop all the work in Ohio.
Well, I think Joel told us, and he drives by that occasionally. He said that all activity is stopped, just about.
Right now, they nothing happening. All right.
No.
And this is a $28 billion
facility,
manufacturing site and facility. All right. And effectively, this new technology called 14A won't debut at the very, very earliest until 27.
Part of the problem, I still think part of this problem is Intel doesn't really know if there's going to be customers to build chips for, because Snapdragon is doing its thing,
Well, Snapdragon is doing its thing. ARM is doing its thing in general, right? And
they're still late to the party.
At best, they're late to the party.
They have not. They refuse to license the ARM chip technology. All right. They just won't do it and build competing chips. All right. Which seems stupid.
Maybe they know the ends in sight. They're just trying to drag it as far as they can and then just quit. It'll go away. You know what? If Intel quit making chips tomorrow, the world wouldn't change a bit. I don't think.
Well, because even if you don't go to ARM, there's still AMD and whatnot out there doing their thing.
There's AMD. There's
Radeon,
who makes Windows compatible chips for Wintel compatible chips to allow that level of business for Windows and for those companies to continue. But I mean,
I think the future is ARM. I've said this before. Larry, you were in the store. You played with one. You couldn't tell the difference. It was fast and snappy. You couldn't tell the difference.
It was faster than an Ultra 7.
Well, it's certainly more power efficient. It draws less power. It gets less hot. Many of them don't even have fans. Many of them.
Yeah.
So that statement, I was looking at the Snapdragon Elite. It was in a 13-inch, the latest version of a
Yep.
Surface Pro. And it's sitting there with the screen on 24/7 in Best Buy, wide open brightness because of bright lights.
Yep.
I
Right.
touched that thing and it was ice cold.
Yep.
Ice.
Well, I've said this before. I've got a Lenovo 7X, and it's been phenomenally good. The build quality on the case wasn't quite what it should be. I unfortunately it chipped, the casing chipped a little bit on the surface that they put on it. But mechanics of that thing have been rock solid. And it's very fast. It's exactly that. It's one of those one of the Snapdragon Elites, and it's a very nice chip. It's a very nice computer, very fast. So there you go. That's the future, kids.
To be honest, with this facility, with this $28 billion facility, and they've invested over $100 billion in this property, I can guarantee you that if they do stop, if they cannot get the 14A customers that they're looking for, this will be the end of the company. There will be lawsuits galore.
Oh, sure.
All right,
sure.
Coming at Intel, and that will actually signal and start the
they
destruction of the entire company.
They got a lot of people have to remember too that when they agreed to this project, they took a lot of money from local and federal and whatnot governments, and so there's a lot of people going to be very unhappy about this.
Oh,
even a pause, let alone forgetting it.
You'll have lawsuits from state and local government. You will have lawsuits from shareholders, and the best thing that they can do at that point is just completely divest. All right, sell the assets off, divest, and get out, because at that point they aren't going to be able to come back. All right, they will not be able. If they fail with this, if this facility does not go live, they will not be able to come back from this.
We've been saying for a while that Intel is not on the right path technologically speaking,
no. And they haven't been for more than a decade.
And they're not investing where at least our opinion is that they ought to be investing in. And clearly they don't agree, but that also clearly is not working for them either. So
no,
here you go.
And you would think, all right, that if this is not working for them, that somebody, doctor, it hurts when I do this. Well, then don't do that. Do something else.
Yeah, but they're not really doing anything else. I don't know what to make of it.
You don't.
So here we go.
Make of it. I mean, damn.
Clearly,
spin the big wheel and play the song for them.
Well, Tan is getting paid a lot of money to lead Intel, and I'm not making the money he is, and I think I'd make a better decision than he did. He's been doing right now. So there you go.
And well, not only that, the current administration is calling for this guy to resign.
Well,
right? Because they think they're of the same opinion.
Keep the politics out. The guy truly has interests where he shouldn't have them in that job he's got.
Yeah. All right.
True.
So there's a conflict of interest here, and
that's very true.
You do not know simply because there isn't a appearance of impropriety. You do not know whether or not this guy's going to do the right things by Intel or by his own portfolio.
Right. Right.
Well, and you're right. His actions have not boded well for Intel.
No, they
definitely have not. So
no, they have not. Which
again I thought that makes me sad too. We got a couple of sad things tonight. Let's move on to something else. What you got for us, Chris?
Well, so at this, I got the tip of the week segment, and this one.
That's always a good thing. I like that. That makes me happy.
This is true, and this one was a really kind of something that was happy for me. But before I actually get into the tip, again, I want to remind everybody, iTechGear was founded specifically with the intent of making technology easier for everyone to use and understand. This team has dedicated their writing careers to that specific purpose, and so each week we're going to have a new computing tip authored by one of our experienced editors. You got questions, concerns, comments, ideas, if you will. Hey, do me a favor. Send those. That's the way my grandmother talks. What do you want? Anyway, says Radar O'Reilly.
My goodness.
Thank you. Send those ideas over to tips@iTechGear.org. And if we use it on the air, we will give you your 15 seconds worth of fame. I will tell you, as I said when I started this whole segment, this one was really something that was near and dear to me. I've got a lot of, in the job that I'm currently in, um, I've got a lot of date-driven tasks. And so I want to make certain that I know, based on today's date, how many more work days do I got until I got to get the thing done. And one of the things that I would really like to see Outlook Classic do on its own, and it doesn't, is go ahead and when you pick a due date for that particular task, that it go and stick it on your calendar. I live in my calendar when I'm at work. All right. And I'd love to be able to see not only my meetings for the day, but hey, what other things I've got to get done by the end of that day. And having those tasks appear as like an all-day event, or at least in that particular space, unless of course I choose a specific time when it should be done, then I would want to know, I would want to have it appear on the calendar at that time point. And it seems like it would be easy enough to have that happen.
But
it doesn't. So if you would like your Outlook tasks to appear on your calendar, follow these steps. All right. I want you to open up Outlook and navigate to the calendar view, which you click the little calendar on the upper left corner of that operational bar there, and then open up open up the calendar view. All right. I want you to go open up the to-do list or the My Day bar alongside your calendar, so that on the right side of the screen you've got all of your tasks listed. All right. Now, if you're using the new Outlook, blah, and that's a different aside, but yeah, if you're using
we can have a whole other conversation about that.
Yes, if you're using the new Outlook, this is often accessed through the My Day button on the toolbar. In Outlook Classic, you may need to go to View, To-Do bar, and then Tasks. All right, if you want to have those display. Locate the task that you want to include on your schedule, and then drag that from that to-do list on the right side to the day that you want that tasks to appear on your calendar, and let go. And it'll stick it up there in that all-day event area on the top of the calendar for that day. All right. Now, it's supposed to go ahead, all right, and link the two. All right, so any changes that you do in one will appear in the other, and vice versa. All right, especially if you're using the My Day view. All right, this especially for the new Outlook. In Classic Outlook, again, you may need to enable the to-do bar to see those tasks alongside your calendar. So it is something that you should be able to go ahead and drag and drop. Now, the problem here is that you could say have the task actually due on the 5th, but if you were to drag it and drop it over to any other date on the calendar, let's say the 10th, all right, it'll show up on the 10th and not the 5th. All right, although it'll complain at you that it's due the 5th, and then show up as overdue starting on the 6th on the 10th. So you've got to drag and drop it to the right date. But honestly, it should just appear. Microsoft needs to fix this. But this will at least go ahead and get those tasks on your calendar so you can at least see them. So there you go.
There you go.
Put your Outlook tasks on your calendar through simple drag and drop.
Oh, there we go.
Not too bad. So I'm going to go ahead now, and I'm going to move us to our pick of the week segment. And before we get there, I want to remind everybody, hey, Our picks are typically hardware, software, and other items of interest that we have individually purchased and that we actually use and that we like enough that we want to recommend them to you, our growing listener base. These are not any kind of paid advertisements or items that we have any kind of affiliated marketing relationship with. If they were, hey, we've got an editorial policy over at iTechGear.org that says we have to disclose that relationship up front. These are sincerely things that we believe in, and we want to bring them to you at the end of each show. Why?
Because we like you.
That's not bad. Probably the best yet. Good job, guys. And there you got the reactions. You got the thumbs up and the big fireworky things. All right. So great job. Great job. Anyway, so this week, seeing as the big thing for Chris and I has been the twofer. I was looking for a case for the Fold 7. All right, I wanted something that would make it a little bit easier for me to open and close this thing. The surface of the device in and of itself is very, very smooth and very slick. And honestly, even though it is about the same thickness as any other device that is not a foldable, it felt very fragile to me, and I didn't want to break it. So I wanted a case on it. And I found one. It's called the Tamdan Magnetic for Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 7 case. This is MagSafe compatible. It's got a built-in HD screen protector for the outside screen. It's got a built-in magnetic kickstand with some hinge protection, and is effectively a translucent matte sort of gray color or black for the Z Fold 7, and it works very, very well. I like that it is MagSafe compatible because the Z Fold 7 in and of itself is not. It is Qi 2 compatible, but it's not MagSafe compatible. And so you try to stick it on anything that's MagSafe, like a MagSafe attachment or a car charger in the car, it'll fall. It slides right off. All right. So having a MagSafe case keeps it on there, and this has been holding up very, very well. It's very easy to use. It doesn't look bad. It's not overall bulky. It's about the same thickness as any other phone that I've got, especially my iPhone now. So it's about the same thing. So, and it's only $40, and it's currently got an $8 coupon on it. So it brings the price down. All right. So there you go.
Okay.
If you order it tonight, you can get it. You can, as of this recording, you can get it in 3 hours, by tomorrow. If you order within 3 hours and 37 minutes of now. So there you go.
I may try it because I bought the standard Samsung silicone case.
Yep.
And I don't like it at all. It's not helpful to me at all. So I may try this.
Look at it. I don't know if this one's going to be to your liking, only because it does make it a little thicker.
And to be fair, when you make it, and this is the hard part, it's always the difficult part.
Yep.
When you make it thicker, half the point of the device is the thinness of the device. It's like it's always a trade-off when you do that. But that's true of any device. When you add a case, you're making it thicker.
You're making
it's the nature. It's the nature of the thing.
Right.
So I don't know. But I may be willing to try this, and I'm sure Best Buy's going to be thrilled with me returning the other thing, but it is what it is.
They don't care.
They don't care.
Well, they actually do. You actually can get blocked by Best Buy from purchasing.
Oh, but you got to do a lot of.
I agree.
Make sure you purchase a lot, and then you won't get that.
Fair enough.
Buy more toys.
Buy more toys. They get a lot of my money, that's for sure. So that they know they do. So all right.
Yeah, but
that sounds good. So I may check that out.
Yep. And that, kids, is the show. This has been the iTechGear Weekly, episode number 141, Copyrights and Patents and Trolls.
Oh my.
Recorded August 10th, 2025, live
Oh
from
God,
iTechGear
turn us
Central.
off, turn us off.
Oh, we're getting scarier
For
the longer
Mr.
we go
Chris
on.
Gavula, Dr. Mr. Larry McJunkin, and the missing brother Joel, we will see you next time.